New Year's Eve went off last night for the majority of people with a night of fun and entertainment with family and friends. There probably might have been a few regrets and tears, but thrown in with the usual dose of a degree of some poor decisions and a bit of stupidity from some. Overall, we're very pleased with our New Year's Eve operation. We had a proactive approach throughout the state with a highly visible police presence. There were 72 people arrested and 10 reported, with 225 issued with expiation notices for a wide variety of offences, from drinking in a dry zone, disorderly behaviour type offences, and some drug possession type of matters. The stats are very, very similar to last year with the number of arrests and reports, but there was certainly an increase in the number of expiation notices issued. But overall, we're really pleased with the behaviour of the majority of people. There were quite active presence in relation to random mobile and static roadside testing for both alcohol and drugs, with about 3,800 conducted. As I mentioned earlier, there's the usual degree of some poor decisions by some. There was a 37-year-old man from Mount Gambier who recorded a blood alcohol reading of 0.339, so that's nearly 7 times the legal limit. Obviously had his vehicle impounded and immediate loss of licence, and there was another 47-year-old man from Angle Vale recorded a reading of 0.228 on the Stewart Highway at Williamstown, nearly 5 times the legal limit, also had his vehicle impounded and an immediate loss of licence. Unfortunately, there were a number of incidents throughout the metro area and other parts of the state which were of a little bit concern to us, but some prompt action by police has resulted in a number of arrests. Unfortunately, a young girl was stabbed during an altercation at the Salisbury interchange. There were 3 other girls that were quickly arrested, and bail has been refused for those. They are all known to each other, and it was appears to be as a result of an ongoing dispute between those people. Fortunately, the young girl is not seriously injured, and the other 3 will appear in court on Friday. So 15-year-old girl and 14-year-old girl were arrested as well. So there was also an incident at Normanville where a young lad was struck by another young male who was riding an e-bike. That young lad was taken to hospital in a non-life-threatening condition, and investigations are continuing in relation to that matter. And there was also an incident at Underdale where, unfortunately, our police, doing their work, as with all other police throughout the state and other emergency services, where the majority of people were having a good time, they attended there in response to what was reported as an alleged stabbing, doing the right thing, but when they arrived, confronted by a large group of people who were quite agitated, there were a number of females fighting. The police tried to step in to break that up, with one of the officers being struck from behind to the side of the head. As you would expect, they needed to call for additional assistance. And then as other patrols arrived, there were further people arrested. Again, it's just an example of police and other emergency services doing their job. No one expects to come to work to be assaulted, doing the right thing. And people there calling police, but then when police turn up to help out, which is what we do, the people there turn on the police. They've been assaulted, so pleasing. A couple of people have been arrested for that, and they'll certainly face the consequences of those actions. So happy to take questions about any of those particular matters or any other general matters from New Year's Eve.
With the teenage girls, you said they were known to each other. Is that a matter of something like bullying or more like potentially gang? At
the Salisbury matter? Yeah, I think it was probably just some disputes between the young teenage girls, certainly not gang related or anything like that. So.
But does it concern you that teenage girls are using knives in these altercations?
Oh, look, I think anyone using knives is a concern. I think it's very unfortunate that they chose to do that. Pleasingly, we were able to arrest 3 of them pretty quickly. Unfortunately, some people, as I said earlier, poor decisions, a bit of degree of stupidity, in relation to whatever conflict you might have with people. Certainly doing that is completely and utterly inappropriate. So.
Were police at Salisbury interchange at all last night using their new wanding powers to search people?
Yeah, I can't say specifically at Salisbury before that, obviously afterwards, and certainly at other interchanges and other locations. And now that we've got the new authority for us to do that, there were certainly a number of wandings undertaken at a variety of locations. But specifically at Salisbury, immediately prior to that, I can't say as to whether they were specifically there. As you'd be aware, there's about 34, I think, locations off the top of my head specifically for the transport side of hubs, in addition to the other locations that we can do the metal detectors, in addition to the declared public precinct in the CBD and Glenelg. So as you'd expect, there's a wide variety of areas we can do it, but then also, as you'd expect, last night there was a wide variety of other jobs and proactive approach that we had to do. So it's just one of the extra things we've got in our toolkit available to us.
So there wasn't a blitz or anyone doing it at Salisbury Interchange around 7 o'clock last
No,
night?
not specifically at Salisbury, no.
Who could have potentially jagged this weapon?
Well, as there's the wanding can be done anywhere in those locations, and as we've found since the legislation's been in and then the declarations have been made, there have been many wanding operations undertaken from a proactive sense, and there have been knives located at different shopping centres, and I think even just the other week, if memory serves me correct, at the railway station on the first day that we had the railway station. So we can't be everywhere. It's unrealistic for us to be everywhere. The public wouldn't want us to be everywhere and to be wanding everyone coming into every train station or transport hub. So
just not at the right place at the right time.
Well, unfortunately, quite often we are, but we can't always be at the right place at the right time. But fortunately, in this case, it was a really quick response. We were able to get the other girls at nearby train station, and they've been arrested. So.
And just double checking, I know sometimes on public holidays there'll be a magistrate's review on the police bail, but you are aware that the 3 alleged offenders are still in custody?
Yeah, that's my understanding. I haven't had any information to the contrary, but you are accurate. They are. You can refuse police bail, but any of those people, unless they're a prescribed applicant, which these girls wouldn't be, but anyone that has been refused police bail can apply for a magistrate's review. That's within, like over a weekend or public holiday type thing. But in this particular case, I'm not aware if they have. I don't have those details. So.
On the Underdale incident, people involved are claiming that police were heavy-handed and used unnecessary force. Can you give any further comment on this?
Yeah, what I can say in relation to that is people's perceptions of matters can differ from what the reality is. One of our senior officers, one of our district duty inspectors who attended the scene reviewed some body-worn vision from what occurred last night, and certainly from the information I had. As I said, we've got 2 police officers who are doing the right thing, coming to work on a New Year's Eve, going to a job where there was an allegation of a stabbing, which is a very serious matter, confronted by a group of 20-odd people who are quite agitated, seeing a couple of females fighting with each other, trying to break it up to see what's going on, gets struck on the side of the head, being punched, having to call for assistance. Someone else then comes out from the house who was later found to be in possession of a kitchen knife. Obviously other police attend. Now, obviously in that commotion, it's obviously fairly dark there. There might have been some street lighting or housing lighting or whatever the exact case may be. But, police, other emergency services, come to work. No one wants to come to work and be assaulted and that sort of thing. We unfortunately don't live in a utopia where everyone gets along harmoniously. As I said, the majority of people certainly did last night, but there's always some that make poor decisions and some with a degree of stupidity. But I certainly back the actions of the officers that went last night. I said, you go to a job to help people, you don't want to turn up there and get punched on the side of the head completely unprovoked, and then someone else comes and pushes people and so forth. All those matters get reviewed. So in time, they will be reviewed appropriately but I'm certainly comfortable with the degree of force and reasonableness of the action taken by the police last night.
So that'll be under review now as well? And
in any case, because there was some OC spray deployed, so in any case when OC spray, for example, is deployed, it's recorded, it's reported, and it's reviewed, through the chain of command, and so it's just a normal course of business type thing. And as I said, and we're proactive last night from one of our inspectors reviewing, the available body-worn video. So we're really comfortable with what they've done. So, and again, and I'll reiterate, sometimes people's perceptions of what might have occurred at the time, might have been a little bit heightened. But police shouldn't have to come to work expecting to get belted on the side of the head in a completely unprovoked situation. So I'll just ask people to actually consider that, because I'm sure those police officers, family and friends who might have been having a good time last night may have had in the back of their head that their loved one is working, and certainly not wanting to get the phone call last night, or when they wake up this morning realising that they'd been punched to their head completely unprovoked. And also on the degree, I mentioned earlier about the degree of stupidity. There was at Kangaroo Island at North Cape last night about 10 p.m. there was 20 acres of grassland with a bit of fencing burnt, where the landowner, a 64-year-old male, thought it was a good idea to let off a marine flare, which landed in the paddock and caused that damage. So he's been issued with a general expiation notice of a fine of a little bit over $600, probably plus the victims of crime levy. But it just goes to show, in any conditions, things can get out of hand pretty quickly. Fortunately, the CFS were able to contain that fire, and there was no significant damage undertaken. But that certainly a degree of stupidity, thinking that letting off a marine flare was a good idea. So.
The MFF says it was really a resources under strain last night, called to at least 13 fires set off by illegal fireworks. I understand police weren't responding, but are they matters that you'll be investigating and following up, and what kind of penalties will...
Look, it depends. I think with any of those illegal fireworks, it depends if there's any damage caused, and if that's reported to us. So if there was some damage caused and that was reported to us, then it would get investigated. If there was no damage caused, then it probably really wouldn't be investigated further by us. But I think we certainly haven't been made aware of any incidents of concern from illegal fireworks and injuries, and generally that's something that does occur, where people let off fireworks, illegal fireworks, and end up harming themselves or some other people nearby. So it just certainly demonstrates the danger of that, and it's best left to the experts. So.
Just going back to Underdale, you said patrols were responding to an alleged stabbing. Has anyone been arrested over the stabbing?
Yeah, not as yet, no. And the people there, again, people's perception, extremely uncooperative with police. There was someone that had a very, very minor superficial wound that the SA ambulance service were able to check out, but certainly at the time last night, extremely uncooperative with police. It may be something that once they sober up or calm down, they might realise or choose to report it to the police or not. So.
Do you think the incident will be referred to the internal investigation section at all, in regards to the claims that the people involved are making?
If they choose to make a complaint, then it would be. But as I mentioned earlier, any matter where OC spray, for example, is deployed, we'll have processes in place that gets reported through the chain of command and gets reported through normally to ethical and professional standards in any case. So it's just a normal process. So.
And just looking through this release, the Normanville incident where a 10-year-old boy was struck by an e-bike, do you mean, did that spark a dispute between the boys' two families?
Yeah, my understanding is that the actual boy on the e-bike caused the disturbance himself as well and got a little bit agitated, and obviously with others nearby. So it's in the early stages of that investigation, and certainly if anyone has any further information, we ask them to contact us.
As in he deliberately struck a 10-year-old boy?
No, I don't believe the information is it was deliberate. It was probably just in amongst the street with probably quite a few people, as you would expect, around Normanville, and obviously an e-bike can probably go a bit quicker than probably what some people think, and probably, whilst they're young kids, probably the age difference may not have assisted in that regards.
Was it a legal e-bike though?
Sorry, it's an e-bike. Yeah, it's just an e-bike, so not a e-scooter or anything like that. So.
And you're investigating, I guess, a sexual assault at Semaphore jetty, where a teenage girl was grabbed and kissed by an unknown...
Yeah, that's right. That's concerning for us. People should be able to be respected and be able to walk around and feel safe. It's concerning and completely inappropriate that a male has grabbed a teenage girl and kissed her late last night near the Semaphore jetty. So The identity of the male is not known at this stage, but certainly if anyone has got any information or may have seen something that you could tell was an inappropriate action, then certainly encourage them to contact us.
Just on an incident at Bank Street, a serious assault, a man left unconscious.
Bank Street? Bank Street, yep. Let's move on that one. I did recall, I think someone was arrested on that. Yeah, from recollection, I think there was a male arrested. I don't have any further specific details. It certainly wasn't a serious life-threatening incident or anything like that. So.
Just a fight ensued and punches thrown? Or
yeah, I said I don't have more specific details on that one. So.
Do you think you still have RBTs out on the roads today?
Today, yeah, well, we would. We normally always do at a wide variety of times. As I said, the stats last night are a good example of demonstrating both mobile and static roadside breath testing and drug testing. So, it's something that we do 24/7. Obviously, in particular times, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day in the morning, it's quite active. But we can do it at any time, and I would expect our police working today to continue to do their mobile testing. And
I believe this is the first year that roadside drug tests detect cocaine. Do you expect that to next? Correct. Yeah, I think that came about a few months ago from memory. So I know there were a number of obviously drug detections last night, but the exact type of drug I don't have those specific details. And we'll continue to do that. And unfortunately, people will make poor decisions in a degree of stupidity, and there will be some people that will continue to take drugs and drive. So we'll do whatever we can to get those tests done and get them apprehended. So.